continue.
It'll ask you again now as well, because we're going to be live streaming. It'll say, it'll come up and you've just got to accept it as well.
Okay.
Well, hello, Mr. Eddie.
Hello.
It's so nice to see you. My goodness, I actually really miss you. We were seeing a lot more of you these days, and
I know, yes.
And then we go into lockdown, and it's all over.
No, it's crazy. I can't wait until we can get around it. But we've missed all the food shows.
I know.
A great gathering place and a great source of information and a great source of new products, and they're all gone. But more so the gathering, the meeting, catching up with people. If you're not going to see them through the year, but often think about them or, have passing comments, any food show, you'll see them.
Yeah, it's so true. And you've always been hubbub right in the middle of the food shows as well.
Yeah, I've always been there. Yeah.
Do you find them exhausting, or do you find them exhilarating?
Yeah, look, at the beginning, yes, I find them quite exhilarating. I'm all frantic and ready to go and, quite excited. But then towards the end, I'm thinking, geez, last day, thank goodness.
It gets a little bit like that. You just kind of, the first day everyone's raring to go, and then the second day we're all still really excited, and the third day comes and you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yes, yeah, I can do it.
Because it's all of the other things that are going on around it at the same time. I love it. I just can't get enough of trade shows. I love seeing people in the competitions and all the rest of it.
Yes, yeah, they're great.
But anyway, we're here to talk about you and your journey. And, the beauty of these sessions, Eddie, is that whilst I know you and we've been friends for a long time, I don't really know you. I don't know how you got into this trade and where your life and your career has taken you. I mean, I know what I know. And I thought it's a great way to bring people to the surface and to remind us all why we chose this industry in the first place. So why did you choose this industry? What made you want to become a chef?
Well, you know what? I think it started like most people at home, having a mother as a great cook. That's where it started. Now, I'm one of 7 boys. My mum always wanted a girl, and she tried and tried and tried. At the 7th one, she said, bugger that, no more. And so I was dead in the middle. There were 3 before me and 3 after me. And one of the punishments that we had as youngsters at home was peeling the veg, peeling the potatoes, peeling the onions. And everyone shied away from it. But stupid here thought, actually, I enjoy doing this. And so, it was never a punishment for me. So there I were, peeling carrots, peeling potatoes, peeling onions. And my mum couldn't find a punishment for me in that space. And so she just found other things. And I just enjoyed doing it. And then I was there next to mum going, what's that taste like? Why is that? And she started to talk to me about food. And at school, I decided to take on cookery, home economics at school, and left school at 16 and took on an apprenticeship as a chef.
I think that's amazing. One of 7 boys. Your mother deserves a medal.
An absolute great one big mistake, though, in the early years of my apprenticeship. So on this particular session, let me give you a background story first. And 7 boys at home, mum and dad, family and friends would also come around, and somehow mum would find enough food to feed us all. I don't know how, but she did. And we enjoyed it. On this particular day, I come home from college and we just learned to do stocks and sauces. And I looked at my mum and I said, hey, mum, you know what? That's not actually the way you're meant to. And you know what? It stopped there. And all I could see were my mother's mouth was moving, but the ringing in my ears didn't quite stop. I realised that I cocked the biggest smack in the world. And for the last time, I thought I should teach my mum how to cook. And you learn lessons really quick.
That's funny. And did any of your other brothers go into cooking as well in the industry?
No, just me. No.
And what have they all gone on to do?
We all do different things. Tony, I start with my oldest brother. My oldest brother Joe, he's my very oldest brother. So he passed away when I was very young. He was in Africa and got him an intercoastal thing, and unfortunately he passed away. So I was very young and didn't have that much time with him. My brother Joe, he's got 6 girls. Mum loved that. Mum loved it.
She finally got her girls.
And he's worked for a gypsum factory who make panels for companies. I don't know too much about it, but he's been doing the same job for many, many years, and he's great. He's a really, really great guy. Excellent soccer player. Really good.
Wow.
He's semi-professional, and he was magnificent. My brother William, the next up from me, he's a martial artist, so he's kung fu artist, and he did all the martial arts, he can do all that sort of stuff. And he does promotions now. He promotes music artists around the world and sends them. An artist will come to the UK, and the promoter will say, here's the artist brief. Can you be picked up here? Can you go there? Can you make sure we have these meetings? And William organises that. Then there's me, a la chef. Then there's Tony, the next down from me. Tony is a saxophonist, Tony Cofie, and he has twice won the BBC Saxophonist of the Year. And so he's gigged with Sting and did many artists, played with his saxophone for Disney and for many artists, TV shows, promotions. And so he's very, very big in the music space. And he's just got a professor, he's now a professor of music.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so he's fantastic, Tony. My next one down, he's also a singer. Freddie, he's into the music world as well. He's written songs and made songs, and he's into that music space. He's done that for many, many years, and he's great. And then the youngest one, Ted, who runs this business with me, he was a professional boxer. He was a world cruiserweight champion. And after boxing, he went in and got his MBA and did lots of on the commercial side. And he was the country manager for Panasonic and worked for Canon and all that sort of stuff. So he's on the side, and so he does all the accounts and running the background stuff and the consulting part of Nico management and the admin side of Nico Foods.
Wow, and you've just had a nephew, was it, that was on The
That's
Voice?
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's the youngest brother, Ted's daughter, Chantel. She was on The Voice. Did very,
is it your niece? Sorry.
Yeah, my niece. Yeah, so she was excellent. She is excellent. And she's a very, very nice person, easy to get on with, very kind natured.
I actually can't imagine anybody in your family not being easy to get along with. You've just got this beautiful aura about you, and I just have seen you with your brothers and so forth. It's you just all ooze this real kindness about you. But so where did you grow up? Where were you born?
I grew up in Nottingham in the UK, and I did my apprenticeship with a company called the John Lewis Group, and John Lewis, you know who they are. And,
yeah.
They had a great restaurant, silver service, and that's what I learned. I spent 4 years, and everything was done right from scratch. I walked in there for 3 months. I was in the pot wash area, and I approached the manager, and I said to him, "Excuse me, Mr. Brooks," very professional those days, right? I think I applied for a position as a chef, and I've been washing up for quite some time. He says, "Young man, your time will come." I said, "Okay." I thought, you don't argue with that. And I washed a few more pots and pans. And then one day I got the call into the kitchen, and I thought, here it comes, Chateaubriand, Dover salt. And the chef looked at me and said, "Hey, peel those carrots."
I was going to say, you actually got promoted
back home again. It was quite surprising how quickly I peeled those carrots and potatoes and all the menial jobs that you got in kitchens back then.
And I bet you were the best carrot peeler you'd ever seen.
Carrot peeler, yeah. And chefs had no problem giving you a bag of something to peel and slice and dice and cut up those days, because that was just the way it was. And we progressed on. I was very, very fortunate in that where I worked, everything was made from scratch. Fillets, the whole fish came in, they were filleted. The beef came in, and there was a forequarter and hindquarter, and you don't realise that you're learning to separate the fillet and you separate the sirloin and the rumps and all the parts that meant for cooking. The stock were made from bones and all those sort of things that were just normal. And when you're 16, 17, 18, and you're being taught something, you're being taught that, so you don't know anything else to be able to put into what needs to change. I just like the taste of food. And that's what it was. And I think that took me long. I enjoyed it, no matter what it was. I didn't find it that menial, to be honest. I was learning something, and then I was going to college once a week, and I did that for 4 years. Worked 4 days, went to college one day, and had 2 days off, and sometimes 1.5 days off. And after my apprenticeship, I got the opportunity to go further, and I wanted to work in London. I kept thinking, hotels, Dorchester, the Connaught, and the things I read about, but I thought it was too far from me. So I went to Kent, and it was too expensive for me to go to London back then. So I worked in just outside Gravesend, and I worked in a hotel there and travelled to London and had some further skills. And then at 23 or so, I became a head chef. Whoa. Now,
it's just amazing to me.
Yes. Now, what happened was, it was a great progression in that when I left Nottingham and went to this small hotel in Kent, the Dover Mount House, nothing there was made from scratch. It was all packet and mixers, and it was beyond me. And in fact, I was laughed at quite a bit by a few chefs because they said, make the stock or make the gravy. And I went to make the gravy for the service. And I was looking for the bones and the onions and the carrots, and it was like, mix that. And I didn't know what it was, the ratio. I'd actually physically never seen the powder before. So I was all cat-handed doing this. But eventually I worked my way in, and I only knew how to make cakes from scratch and, you know, products from scratch. And I enjoyed doing that and started showing the other people around there. So the general manager, you know, saw that, and we got just little reviews and people enjoying the food. He went to open a new hotel in Dover, and it was a Dover Moat House Hotel. And it was a 4-star hotel, the only 4-star hotel in Dover. And he asked me if I'd like to take the job as head chef. I was, but I wasn't a head chef at the time, trust me, but I had some skills. I went down there and we opened the place up. There was a few write-ups in the newspaper, and I put in there things that I learned in Nottingham and the things I picked up in Kent, and we put a thing together, and I was there and I enjoyed it. And I spent 2 years there, and it was fantastic. And I put my little stamp on what I could do, but I realized that I needed more skills, needed more training. I was a head chef in name, but I wasn't a head chef in experience. And so I did things that I did well, and everything I did in the hotel, I taught the chefs around me to make everything from scratch, from pastry. I really wanted to be a pastry chef when I was younger. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'd love that patience of making products, but as you get on, you get to learn a lot more things. And so as I say, I wanted to learn a bit more, and an opportunity came along or not an opportunity, I saw an ad to work as a chef for P&O.
I actually was going to say, you know, that you then started in that cruise space.
Correct, yeah. So I applied for this job, and they wondered why I wanted to come from a head chef position in the hotel to sort of a sort of chef de partie, demi chef really role on a cruise ship. And I simply told them that, look, I need to learn a bit more. This role was great, but I can't go any further because I needed more training myself. And I was 23, 24 at the time, and I got the opportunity to improve myself and get the opportunity to work on something like a cruise ship. I read about them and seen what they could do and the experiences from other countries. And so I got the job based on that. And I was very happy. Spent 2 years working for P&O and learned lots of things, saw things I'd never seen before in terms of food. Worked with some great Indian and Sri Lankan, and Indian in particular, these guys from Doha, so this sort of Portuguese-Indian mix. And it wasn't until then that I realized about the cooking of spices and how they're cooked out, and pastes are made before they make the curries. In the UK, they're great. They love their curries in the UK. And even working in hotels and restaurants, it was, you know, get the paste, mix it, make the sauce, make the curry, but it was a different way altogether. So I learned then how to make that volume, not just cooking the paste, but the volume of it quite well. Spending 2 years going to all parts of countries around the world, and I don't think there's a port in the world I haven't been to after 2 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 2 world cruises, and that's what brought me to Australia. And so, strange, you know, to go back a bit. So, I ended up working in London, and I worked at. I went to the Connaught. I got a job at the Connaught, and Michelle Bourdin was the executive chef, and in fact, there weren't no titles as executive chefs. They were all head chefs and really looked at in a very high position, very, very prestigious. And so Michel Bourdin, who was the president of the Académie Culinary de France, his sous chef, Michael Nugent, he was a real crazy sort of chef, hat on the bridge of the nose, screamed at everybody, made Gordon Ramsay look like a pussy. It was awful. And service was just mayhem. And the only reason why I left the Connaught was because they wanted to sign up for 3 years. The past was done in French, un buffet, sauvage, it was everything. It was crazy, but great learning, great. Everything was precise in what you did. And going back to peeling carrots and getting potatoes, the turning of the veg and having all the 7 sides, everything was done. And it wasn't wrong. The chef would come along and just flick them off the table, and you start again. I thought, oh, this is crazy. But, the name took you quite far, but the work in there was quite intense. But still, I enjoyed doing that. And so
aren't we kind of are funny how we most people would just think we're nuts to think that we would enjoy going to work every day to be yelled at. But it was kind of like this it created us,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
what made us create our standards.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I couldn't stay because I knew I was going to work on the cruise ship. I knew I was going to go, so I couldn't stay there. So all the star hotels were linked, and so I went to the Savoy after that. And Anton Edelman had just got the position as the head chef of the Savoy Hotel. Now back at the Connaught, the sous chef, it was pretty bad, right? So service was something like this. Now you had to have a thick skin. Now it didn't matter if you were black, fat, glasses, redhead. When it went down in service, you were the black bastard, fat bastard, four-eyed bastard, ginger bastard. And if you had to be ginger and wore glasses, well, you're best off being black because you were in for it big time, right? But that intenseness was, then at the end of service, it was, let's all get together and have a drink. And I'm thinking, where did that come from? It was crazy. And it was explaining this sort of story in a different, in a more professional way to Anton Edelman at the Savoy. And he said, I never run my kitchens this way. You will never be scared to come into my kitchen. And I said to myself there and then, I will only have a kitchen like this. I will never.
That's actually really important. Yeah. I was going to say, when you are taught and you are developed in a kitchen where that sort of behavior is, it's acceptable. How do you then stop yourself from doing that when you go on? So you've just answered that, and that's really good.
Very true. And people came from far and wide and worked. I wasn't there a long time because the strange thing about the Savoy is that it was at the Strand. So I'd come in from Kent, get off at Charing Cross, get the bus up to Piccadilly, walk across the Strand. And as I walked past Australia House, I thought, wow, Australia, that place is fantastic. I'm going to go there. That's Australia. And
really?
And every time I saw that sign at Australia House at the Strand, into the dungeons of the Savoy and went to work, I'd look at that sign on the way home and on the way back and cold and thinking, oh God, Australia, look at those surfers. Oh, everyone's bronzed and tanned. It's beautiful, beautiful out there. I'm going to go one day. So I got the job on. So anyway, all the work in London was fantastic. I met some great people, and you don't realize, you don't know what you know. And when you move away from place of great prestige and they were so sharp on what you did and how you did it, when you go somewhere, they look at you doing something, they say, where'd you learn that? And I used to look around and think, well, doesn't everyone do it this way? And they don't. And so that little bit of advantage came along. But because I just enjoyed food anyway, I wanted to see those things and I wanted to see what's going on and take place. And then my mindset was set on what Anton Edelman, Chef Edelman, used to say about having a nice kitchen. Don't be scared to come to my kitchen, and it's going to be the best kitchen. And he was there, I don't know, 17, 18 years or so, which is unique as a chef in such a establishment. And so venture forth, I got this job on the Canberra, and we'd been to all these beautiful ports around the world. And, it was fun. Been to Rio and been to parts of the US and been to Hawaii and been to all around the Mediterranean. And then one day, this cruise ship in that balmy February morning sailed into the heads of Sydney. And there was this great big opera house and there was this bridge. And I thought, wow, this is amazing.
I'm in Australia. I've made it.
What I used to see around the corner from the Savoy, those signs, it's exactly the same. And I said to myself, and I was still at the top of Sydney Centre Point Tower. I ran around like a headless chicken with friends, other chefs around. Wow, look at that. That place, there's a place, the Bondi, I think it's Bondi. And what are those mountains called over there? Yeah, I think they're called the Blue Mountains, whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to live here. That's what I said. I'm going to come back and live here. So we carried on sailing. Went back to the UK, went back to London, but I went back to the Meridian Hotel, whilst my application went through. I applied in October, and yes, I applied in October, and by November, my passport had come back and said you can travel whenever you want. So,
and we are lucky enough to have had you. And so, how was that though, moving away from your family? I mean, you obviously came from a close family with your brothers and your mum and dad. How was that?
Actually, more difficult than I'd realised. Actually, because the excitement of travelling and doing all these different things and seeing all the countries I'd been to, I thought to myself, I'd move away quite easily and do this. But when it actually came to leaving, it was much more difficult. I was very close. I'm very close, still very close to my family, but I had their support in which to go. I was very emotional, actually, more emotional than I realised I would be. But I came out here with their blessing, and they said, "Look, just come back anytime. If it's not right, just come back." And I said, "Yeah, sure, I will." And I thought I'd be here for maybe 2 or 3 years. I landed in January 1989. And I thought 2 or 3 years, this will see me right. I'll probably go somewhere else. I'll go to America. It's really exciting over there. But whilst on the cruise ship, we'd been to America and been to a place like Bermuda, which to me seemed amazing and fantastic. But it wasn't quite that. You know, and Bermuda in particular was magnificent. The facade was great. But 2 or 3 streets away from that, the glory, the hotel, the fast hotels, living was almost third world, shanty-like living, and it wasn't the same. Australia, everyone spoke the same language, drove on the same side of the road. And I thought, oh, this is just far too easy. And, you know, I marched myself. I was fortunate in 1989. There was a great boom going on with hospitality and hotels, etc. I marched myself into the Regent Hotel. In fact, what I actually did was I was sat in a taxi and I said to the cab driver, what's the best hotel in Sydney? And he said, mate, it's the Regent, mate, it's the Regent, but you can't afford to stay there, mate, $500 a night, really expensive. I said, no, I don't want to stay there. I actually want to work there. He said, oh, I'll go for your life. So he dropped me to the Regent Hotel. I went to reception, I asked for the chef, and they said, you'll have an appointment. I said, no, I'm just about to apply for a position here. And somebody came to fetch me, and I saw Serge Dancer over there, and he asked me what I did, and I spoke to him, and he looked at me, and he said, make me an omelette. I said, I beg your pardon, chef. He said, make an omelette. I said, chef, you know, I've worked at the Connaught, and I've worked at Savoy, and I've worked on a cruise ship, and you sure you don't want, you know, something with some soul or Chateaubriand? Get this omelette. Okay, so I got the omelette out. He got a pan, warmed the pan, and got myself together, made this omelette, turned it out, and I did a little book fold, and I gave it to the chef. He looked at this omelette, looked at me, and he said, oh, okay, start next week. I said, oh, thank you, chef. Now, what Serge didn't know at the time, that whilst working on the camera, serving 400 people a day, I was often making about 500 omelettes in the morning during breakfast roll. So omelettes was the easiest thing to make. I thought, why of all the things in the world? So I turned out an omelette quick smart, warmed the pan, warmed everything else, and there we go. And years later, I asked him, I said, why an omelette? He said, it wasn't the omelette. I wanted to see how you organise yourself. And, you know, heating the pan, preparing yourself, whether you want to garnish or not. And you did the right thing. I said, oh, thank you, chef. I never thought of that.
So did you take that learning along with you on your journey when you were looking at employing people?
Yes, I used it all the time. I use it all the time. Yeah.
That is so cool. So, I mean, look, you've been across some of the biggest events in Sydney, and
yes,
you've worked for some massive companies. What was it like doing the Olympics?
The Olympics was truly absolutely magnificent. So I joined the Superdome when it was being built in May of '99, and then it was a year and a half before the Olympics. There we were in hard hats and boots, and there are architects telling me that that kitchen's going to be over there, and that's where the server is going to be, and that restaurant's going to be there. So there were 6 restaurants, 11 bars, and there was nothing but a piece of paper and me and a couple of casuals, and to start writing. And then it was up to me then to employ a sous chef, to employ other chefs, go to the FF&E for equipment, and it was really quite daunting. I was there for hours. But the excitement of the Olympics was like really a great motivator. And what I had was lots of people around the country, not just in Sydney, wanted to come to Sydney and get a job working for something close bound for the Olympics, whether it would be with the stadium next door, with Dieter Grun, who was running that, as you know, and with me, who was running the indoor stadium. And then there was the whole arena area was taking shape, and slowly took shape. And we had quite a large pre-Olympic events where we tested ourselves with how that was going to take place. And I was writing menus that would suit quick turnovers, to suit concerts, and to suit athletes, and to suit people that would be served in all manner and facets. And so then we dealt with the Olympic company, the so-called Sydney Olympic.
You would have almost have needed a security guard at this time.
Absolutely.
Like, unbelievable. Yeah. Did
so
you wouldn't have got left alone.
No, not at all. And then there were the suppliers to deal with as well.
That's what I mean. Like, You'd be the most sought after person in
I
Australia.
just about every supplier of everything, from food to equipment, who would want to come on and supply and see, and and I tried them all. I tried quite a bit, and I think that's where I got to know so many. I never stuck with just one or two. I knew one or two good ones, but I tried them all, from poultry to meats to fruit and vegetable to equipment, processes to chemical, because I was running both the whole arena in terms of the fast food outlets that were taking shape, and also the restaurants. And so it took no time at all to say, look, we're going to feed this many people over this period of time. Then there were concerts, and then there were events. And so from about 1999, September 99, when Pavarotti came along and had a big concert with us, his first concert over here, until I left in 2004, 2007, sorry, I'm trying to remember the dates. I think every concert or every artist that came to Sydney who played, I'd come across them. There were great stories where Bette Midler wanted to come in the kitchen and make her fish, and we had this. Was it salmon? Or anyway, we had some fish ready for her that she promised she wanted to come in and have a try with herself, and we waited, and she'd gone home. He was really cheesed off. And and Billy Joel, he loved his food, he wanted to see what's taking place, and Rod Stewart, and it was just great. And the thing you get about all these artists is that when you meet them, Rolling Stone, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, all these guys, when you meet them, they all
Keith Richards in there with a smoke and drinking his alcohol.
Anyone who watches Shepherd's Pie. So they all greet you in the same way. Cliff Richard, great guy. Hello, I'm Cliff Richard. I know you're Cliff Richard. There were 25,000 people here to watch you. Elton John, hello, I'm Elton John. Billy Joel, hey, I'm Billy Joel. We know who you are. But they're all the same. But they're all just great, really great normal people. They want their food backstage, and you see them. You don't fuss around them, but you see them. In the early days, it was, oh my God, wow. And afterwards, it was like, hey, how you doing?
I love that, because there'd be so many people that wouldn't have even had the privilege that you've had, that would be coming away going, oh, they were prima donnas, they were this, they all wanted this. I mean, here you are advocating and saying what amazing people they are, and that's incredible.
No, they're great, and we had some great prestigious events too. We were fortunate. We won the Caterer of the Year, we won the Venue of the Year, and all sorts of things, So we were new, and we were trying different and innovative ways in cooking.
But I was going to say, Eddie, let's talk about the operation side of it.
Yes.
In your opinion, do you think that time of Olympics, when the food just went massive volume, do you think that's the first time Australia really had seen that kind of operation in action? So in terms of volume, I mean, the meals and just the sheer volume of it was just huge. And food changed, I think, forever at that time as well.
Yeah, it was suddenly regular to have 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 sit-down 3-course meals, alternate serves, and they wanted different, what's new, what's different, what's around, and we were searching with suppliers for something new, something different, something, people hadn't seen quail done in certain ways and with certain garnish and dressing, and people wanted their meat cut for them. And initially, everything was a steak. If it was a steak, but they wanted their steak sliced, and it was different types of sauces, and some of it were 2 sauces, and it was very, and you just had to be quite different. And we had a lot of casual chefs come and work for us. And what the thing about casual chefs is that their backgrounds are in hotels of their own and restaurants, what they're doing, and they come here for a bit of something different in space, and they'd have their own ideas. And I formulate some of those ideas along with my ideas. I had a great sous chef in Martin Kirstland. And people that came in and out, but it was up to us to run this ship and ensure that it worked effectively. But it was huge and exciting to have such a focus on so much that took place. So it was nice at the time to be involved in this, and I didn't go there with that experience. So prior to that,
I was going to ask you that. Where did you learn to be able be able to adapt to that size business?
Yeah, well, after the cruise ship and then coming to Australia and then with the Regent, and then I was fortunate enough to get a position as executive chef of Australian Airlines. And I got that position executive chef very young into Australia. I was 27. And I dare say I wasn't an executive chef. I was maybe a good head chef if I put my hat on myself. And, you know, I was wanted to be like people. And I started to develop a style of myself where I was always quite open and wanting to show you something. I've never been one of those, you know, chefs where I throw pots and pans and just walk in there. I'm angry today. Can we talk to him? What sort of mood is he in? I don't profess to that at all. And so I developed my own style in terms of learning of how to deal with people and how to get the best out of them. And Australian Airlines was my tester. And so 3.5 years there, new airline, really quite basic food, if I'll be honest. But they were trying, but it was 8 to 9 airline food, and there was nothing exciting about it then at all. And so by then, 3.5 years later, Ansett came along. Australian Airlines had joined Qantas Domestic, and Ansett has separated itself from the British Airways consortium, and British Airways are taking 50% of Qantas, and so they were over there, and Ansett launched Ansett International. And so I was taken on then. I think by then I'd learned, and lots of training and all those sort of things, I would learn to be a more proficient chef then. So I went to Ansett as executive chef, and it was a whole new way of operating an airline industry, airline business then. They wanted the Sky Chefs. Remember we had the Sky Chefs in the air, Sky. So I was a part of interviewing all the chefs that went on the Sky Chefs, and then developing new foods. I really went into what happened in hotels and wanted to bring that into the airline. So working with Werner Kimiringer and Curti and all those sort of guys, with Lou D'Alessio, etc. We wanted to get really great food into the airline, and we did that. We really did that, and we won the greatest airline award a year after operating, and it was magnificent. And what I put into the kitchen were people who had great experiences in hotels and restaurants. And airline kitchens were really for just airline people. It was just a process plant. And I wanted to get away from that process plant. And we used to speak to my providors, my meat people, my fruit and vegetable people about bringing product in, cut a certain way and prepared. Whereas prior to that, the guys in kitchens that worked in high volumes thought they could do all that themselves, and it wasn't there. And in fact, I got quite myself in some trouble with the unions because I asked one of my providors to bring in some prepared vegetables. And well, of course, that caused an uproar, and bringing prepared carrots and bringing, you know, the segments of oranges and things like that. And it went crazy. But I explained that, look, it's the quality you're after. And then you will still get your overtime and you will still get your extra time to work. But look at the quality of food and look what it's doing for you and everyone else. And so we managed to get that on. And Ansett International was about to start. And that's why I was taken on. My actual brief was to turn Ansett Kitchens from a domestic operation in Sydney to an international operation. And so I joined in July of 1994. And in September, July the 4th, 1994 was my start date. And on September the 4th, 1994, was going to be our first flight international to Hong Kong. So I had 3 months to run around and set this kitchen from domestic to international. And that took an awful lot of time. And all the backgrounds, the things I've seen at Savoy and the Connaught, the Meridian, the things that happened, at the even with Surge in Australia, because I came across produce that I just wasn't aware of. I was still learning then. But the stuff I've done on the cruise ship and the volume and how they made it and how they broke down their spices, I took that into Ansett, and yeah, we made some.
And it worked.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. And I was there
and
for
then
4.5 years, and it was great.
That's incredible. And then I imagine though that once you've reached that benchmark,
Yes,
you then challenge yourself to go to the next level, and
that's right.
and that's how you just keep evolving, right?
That's right. Yeah. So the strange thing
you
happened,
kind of took the industry with you.
I did. Yeah. The strange thing happened. The evolution there, Vanessa, was that I was leaving Ansett to go to the UK, and then come back and set myself up for something I didn't know what it was going to be. And as I was about to, at least I was about a week out with no real plans, because I had a ticket from working in the airlines that I could use at any time, and I was just deciding to go. And because I had no particular time, I was just going to take my time and go. I got this phone call from a lady who employed me on my first job when I came here, and the Avillion Hotel on Liverpool Street, I think is now an Accor hotel. It was just about to open, And the head chef and the sous chef had a fallout with the management and walked out. And so it was a day from opening. The invite was who's Lord Mayor? Frank Sartor. Sartor. The Lord Mayor was Frank Sartor at the time. And the dignitaries were about to be invited, and there was no chef. And she said, help me, please, can you help me?
Oh, gosh.
So I walked into this hotel with a function for 200 there, and a function for 50 there, and a function for 90 there, which were great numbers for me. Numbers were great, but nobody knew what to do in the hotel. So I just looked at the menus, got the guys together, and said, guys, we're going to do this. And they go, okay, chef, what do we do? I said, no, I'm actually not sure. Just give me 5 minutes. Okay, and I just interpreted the menu as I saw it, as I would, and as any chef would, and we got the thing out, and we were like ducks underneath, paddling, but out there, the function went well, the hotel opened, and it was great. And during that time, somebody called me and said, hey, you know what, there's a venue opening out in Olympic Park, somewhere around Homebush, and they're looking for an executive chef to run the arenas. I said, oh, really? Okay, so you should give them a call. I think that would suit you. So I said, okay, so I called them. And they said, I'm sorry, applications have closed. But look, if you'd like to apply anyway, if something comes up, we'll call you. So I did. And I left it at that. So the hotel was quite busy. And then I got a phone call saying, look, did you apply for a position here at the Superdome? And I said, and I actually couldn't remember the name of the place because I wasn't told that. So I said, yes, I did apply for that job. They said, okay. Look, we'll be in touch with you because we're going to progress you to the next stage. I said, okay, thank you very much. And then I was running this Pavilion Hotel, ensuring it was running okay. And these guys from the Superdome turned up in the hotel and ordered off the menu and then called me out and wanted to talk to me. And they hit me with questions left, right, and center. And after that, they said, you've got the job. And
wow.
So, yes. And so, oh, thank you very much. So I finished off with the Pavilion. I employed people, put people in there and put chefs in there and wrote menus to get them cracking. And off I went. And that's how I got the position at the Superdome.
That's amazing. So you were kind of interviewed without even knowing you were interviewed.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And then I was formally taken around and shown around what was going to take place, and then they asked me if I was interested, and I said, absolutely interested. No, I asked me if I was still interested. I said, absolutely. I'd love to take this role on. They said it's going to be hard and challenging. You know, I said, well, I don't mind a bit of hard work.
So switching to a personal, were you married at this time?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was married.
So how did you manage work, life and balance? I mean, these are massive jobs. Yeah. So how did you manage all of that?
Well, look, I was very fortunate. Claire was a great wife. Yeah, I mean, she was magnificent. And she was in hospitality. In fact, I met her in the hotel in Kent when I left Nottingham. She was working in the hotel. She not long left school, so she would have been 16, 17. And I was.
So you both met over in the UK?
That's right, yes. I was 22. Okay. And I saw her and I thought, I like the look of that. And she thought, well, I like the look of that. Okay, so you're away, I'll go by. And we just became friends, and we did. And we were just platonic friends for a good 8 years. When I left the hotel, went to Dover, worked on a cruise ship, came to Australia. We're just pen pals. We used to write to each other, send the birthdays and Christmas cards, and that's all it was, nothing else. And one day she said, you know what, I'm going to come and visit you. I said, yeah, come if you want. It's open place. And she did. And we were just friends for a good 3 or 4 months. There was nothing. She slept in that room, I was in that room, and before you knew it, we were getting together and getting married and having kids, and that was it. And so she understood that I'd always been in the space of hospitality and food and restaurants and airlines, etc. And so first of all, it starts with a partner who's got great understanding. And then knowing that there were some challenges ahead with what was about to take place, particularly with the Olympics, it was going to be challenging. In fact, sometimes it was a little bit more challenging because she was a funny girl, my wife. And so I'd come home sometimes and Sheldon, who was very young, would look at me and he'd been set up. And he'd go, hello, uncle. Talking to your mother. Dad, it's dad, no uncle around here. So anyway, I said, well, you're hardly here. So I think he thinks you're uncle. I said, get up. Anyway, but every single time that I got, we would go somewhere. We would travel. Every single time I got. I wouldn't have a time off and then, I'm whacked out, I'll stay home. We'd go to Berry, we'd go to Blue Mountains, you know, we'd go up to the north, we'd do anything, we just went places. And Claire would plan it. And she said, if I plan this around about this time, do you think? And I say, yeah, let's plan it. And back then when you schedules what was taking place, and she would plan that and we would go and have great times. I'd just come in and delve into work and get out of it, you know, in and out. And
that's really cool. And that was kind of how you were able to make sure that the time that you were able to spend with the family was really quality time.
Yes, it was. And, you know, I enjoyed work, but I enjoyed home as well. I enjoyed my family. I enjoyed looking after them. I enjoyed bringing them up. And from the kids since they've been born, I always had an involvement. I always had the morning shift, so to speak. I always had the feed, the change, and then I went to work. I'd come at night, I'd be the one that went there, I'd rock them to sleep, I'd look after that. So I was very respectful of the fact that, you know, Claire's time at home, and Claire didn't work, and I was very, very fortunate, not in the first few years anyway. And so I was very, very fortunate that I had a partner who was great at home, great with the kids, ensuring things were taking place, you know, have food ready or not have food ready, or have things wrapped for me because she knew that I didn't eat that well at work because I was running around doing things. And we looked after each other. And when we had the time to travel, we traveled. And when we had the time to go overseas, we went overseas and just switched off completely.
That's really nice.
It's a great understanding.
And you certainly make beautiful babies.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm very lucky. They're all great kids.
So tell me about the kids. What are the kids up to? What are they doing?
Yes, okay. Well, Sheldon, my oldest son, he's 29 and about to be 29 in a month or so. And he's living in Tooting in London in the UK. And he's working for an import-export company. And he's also got a side business that he started selling vintage clothing, which is great.
So vintage being the 80s, I'm assuming.
80s, you saying I'm vintage? That's my era. Anyway, so yeah, he's selling Air Jordan. So I think I've still got a pair in the cupboard. I'm thinking that's not vintage, man. That's an old shoes. But anyway, so no, he's doing very, very well. My daughter Yolande is 25, and she's just had my grandson.
He's so cute. Little Porter.
Little Porter. Yeah, and Porter is Claire's maiden name. So that's great. So that balances well. And it really is a great, yes, only a few days old, obviously. But, you know, I was although I was great with the kids, always great with the kids, I always said to all of them, I have said to all of them, but to Yolande, I'd said, look, you're going to have a baby. That's great. But, you know, there are responsibilities with having a child. And you and Luke, your partner, you got to look after them. I'm not here. I've had my children, you know, you've all grown up doing your own things. So I'm not going to be running around looking after kids
I'm just smiling because I know what's going to come next.
And then, look, if you need to go out, don't worry. You need to live here. I'll change him. Now, you've been through trauma having that. Don't you need some time off? But anyway,
you are so funny.
They're really great. But they are great parents. You know, they get on well. He's Fijian, Luke, her partner. And obviously, so my parents are from Ghana in West Africa. They migrated to the UK in the late 50s, early 60s, late 50s. And, you know, 7 of us were born. And so we're all born in the UK. And yes, 2 of us here live in Australia, myself and Ted, and the rest are in the UK.
And was Claire's family from here? Or
Claire's family is from the UK. So they're all from Kent. And yeah, we all get on extremely well. So yeah, Nanny keeps in touch with her grandkids.
And I bet she's pretty happy that Sheldon's over there with her now as well. Absolutely. And then, of course, you've got Frankie and
Frankie's 17. Fantastic.
Full of beans, I bet.
Well, we've taken on here in the business. So we've taken on as a trainee business development person. So she goes to, well, not to college now because it's closed down, but she does all the online learning. But as soon as it opens up, she'll be doing that. So we're taking on here to learn business development, business leadership. And she gets coursework, and Ted gives her a lot of work. She does some stints in the kitchen too, because she's learning all aspects of a business and how operation runs. And she's enjoying it. Yeah, so
she's got an amazing mentor. So tell us about your business. Yes. I want to know everything. I think it's so exciting that you've finally taken all that you've learned and all that you've done and put it into something for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Nyko Foods. Yeah, Nyko Foods side was born in early this year in January, and we really, after moving some walls and doing some floors and putting some equipment in here, we really started trading in about April this year. And wrong time of year, a lot of people used to say to us, well, you must be crazy, it's COVID, it's unstable, but you know, you just don't know when the opportunity's there. And the opportunity came along for us to prepare and produce foods for companies. We marched away and we got ourselves an export license, and we got ourselves, accredited with HACCP and all food safety plans that were in there, and we got certified for all the things you need to do, and we started making things. And you know what? You put together flavor, taste, and balances and profiles that people want and require, and looking for someone to do it for them. And we're here to do that for them. So if you want various sauces, if you want meats cooked in a certain way, if you want meal components, we can do that for you. So that's what we've been doing here. So we've got a range of kettles for all the wet items. We've got ovens for roasting and slow cooking and sous vide type options. And we fry and we semi-fry, we blast chill, we freeze. All the components that we make, and all we have them chilled. So if you want something chilled, or if you want it frozen, and if you want it palletized, we do quite a few things here. We don't want to be everything for everybody, but we want to be a lot for a few. And so even as we've opened, we're trying to find our niche and what do we want, who is it that we want to serve, where do we want to be? So I'm doing more sauce items for companies than I've realized I'd be doing. I'm doing some lamb shanks for companies who want lamb shanks cooked and beef brisket cooked in particular. People want southern style schnitzels and tenderloins and chicken bites and marinated wings and cooked wings. I'm doing that for a lot of companies and people and for ourselves. And so really it's slowly taken off a bit quicker than I thought it would take off, but we're here to do that. And it's paying the bills, it's employing people. We've just taken on 2 more people last week. And so during COVID, still people are eating. There's a great small company who came to see us. And he was desperate. He had a company turn over 500, 600 meals a week. COVID came along and he went to 3,000 meals a week, from 500 to 3,000. And so he could no longer grill his chicken or grill his steaks and finish some of his meal components. And so he wanted someone to do that for him. So we did that. Then his kitchen just couldn't manage the amount of sauces that were made for him. So he did that. He's now moved to just shy of 6,000 meals a week. Same guy, same small place. And so we're assisting him with making his sauce for him, his steak for him, his chicken for him, and then get that to him. And he carries on expanding.
That's really cool. So you're you're almost like carrying, you're the lean in for these businesses to be able to continue to scale.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we do a lot of that for people. So and look, as I say, I wasn't entirely sure where we'd head. I knew we've got a big operation here. I'm fortunate enough to have a big operation, but wasn't sure which way we'd be heading. So we post a few things on Instagram and we let people know what we're doing. And, slowly but surely, we're being contacted now by a few people who want things made for them. And we're happy to do that. And it's working quite well. So the volume is working well for us because they want high volume products and we've got the equipment to do that. And we do it to the best of our abilities and, meet the consistency and quality and price range, all those things that people are looking for. And we make it for them.
It's pretty impressive, Eddie, when you think about, you mentioned before about profile and flavor and taste. And when you go into that huge volume operation, how do you go back and manage and keep it authentic?
Yes, yeah, true. Well, you know what, the thing is that the basics will never fail you. I think if you do the basics well, you just improve from there. And I've come across people who haven't been quite sure about the basics, never mind how you get to the next part. And when I say basics, it could be a basic reduction, it could be a basic bechamel, it could be a basic demi-glace. And if you don't know how to get to that part first, then you can't expand that effectively. And so, combination of now flavors. I mean, it's strange when it comes to flavors, Vanessa, because my parents are from Ghana and West Africa, who have quite a spicy tone to the food they had. Then I studied sort of French, typical classical French cuisine as being a young chef. Then I came to Australia and it was sort of part Asian, part Australian. I don't know.
The whole fusion thing happening.
I don't know where the palate lies. So everything happening. And so, but I think my palate is quite neutral. I'm not really spicy. I don't want really spicy. And I'm not, it's bland. And although I can take either way, when I supply people with products or when they're talking about products, you got to talk about the mass. You got to please quite a few people. If you're in a fast food joint, or if you're in a restaurant chain franchise, as many people as you can get through the door is what you want. And so that evenness in palate is what they're after. And so when I'm talking to them, and as recent as today about what one client wanted, I said, look, I'll look at your spice, but let's see if your spice is a balance for all your clientele. And he's told me that the spice they're doing now for their company is too spicy and people talk about it, but he wants to tone it down. But the last time we toned it down, it was not flavoursome enough. And so I said, look, I'll do something for you where I can do that. And I think I'll get that balance for you. So we can mess about doing that for people and we get it right. And, you know, it's only a bit of experience, and some of the people that I've been fortunate enough to work with. I mean, I haven't done it on my own. I've come across some great people, some great chefs, some great managers. I've been given some great opportunities. I was given a great opportunity to work on a cruise ship, a great opportunity to work in London with Anton in particular, a great opportunity with Serge when he gave me the opportunity at the region. I had a great opportunity when I applied for Australian Airlines. So 200 people applied for the position for executive chef for Australian Airlines. I'd been here in the January. I applied in the April. I wasn't here long. And in the interview, they said, look, you tell a great story. I love your passion. I love why you're here. And from the 200 that applied, I think it went down to about 15, I think she said, Sue Thomas, the HR lady, beautiful lady. And I got the job. So I was just given an opportunity. And then I was given an opportunity at Ansett too, you know. So
tell me, Eddie.
Yeah.
You don't just get it. I mean, it has to be the way that you portray yourself. It must be the way that you put yourself. Let's talk about how, number one, how did you present when you were going for these interviews or you were going for these big jobs?
Yeah. Well, I must say, I was always the smartest dressed person in the room. And I think it always starts with appearance. And, you know, it's sad because I see people come to me for jobs and I go, oh my God, do you really want this job? Look at you. But anyway, maybe it's a time thing. But, you know, I was trying to just be, apart from the presentation of myself, I tried to just be as open and as honest as I possibly could. And, you know, I always talked about how excited I am about food and why I'm here. And I love what I do. I want to learn more. I'm open to learning as much as I can. But I do enjoy this industry. You know, I've enjoyed it since from home through school and then through as an apprentice. And I think I'd like to pass on as much as I've learned to this particular date to people that are around me. And I'd like to learn from those and pass on even more skills as I develop. And I've always said that all the way through, even till now. You know, to the last guy I employed last week, I said to him, you know what, I've been doing this an awful long time. And he looked at me and said, are you a chef? I went, yeah, I'm a chef. And I said, I enjoy food. I said, I'm going to show you as much as I can. I said, but you give me as much as you can. I said, because we're in this building together and we're all going to learn different things and we're all going to be out there, going to be really, really busy together. And doing, oh, great, I want to work here. I said, okay, I'll take you on. So it's not about this hierarchy business being, I'm the golden chef and I've done this. And I think I've displayed that in the past. And what I've gone there saying to people, this is what I like to do. This is what I am. I've got great family values. With having boys in the house only, Mum was very keen to teach us about how to deal with girls, you know, and you didn't know it at the time. Like to me, especially when we're younger, girls were, oh yeah, you know, it's only a certain age they bring it. Oh, they're not yuck anymore. They're actually quite nice. But it was, open the door and the umbrella and work on this side of the street. And as a youngster, you don't realise all of that. And Mum was sort of instilling all those things into us as we were growing up. And I think we just carried that on as adults, as young adults, and that's what I passed on to Sheldon. He's a great kid. I passed on to Yolande and with people, and to Frankie. And you know what? There's nothing. It doesn't cost just to be nice to people. Why? You know, it doesn't. Why? I don't know. Why people want to scream and yell and shout at each other. I know everyone's got their own frustrations in life, and I'm not saying that everywhere you go the grass is green, the sky is blue. It's not that. But however, if you've got a personality that says please and thank you, and you appreciate what you've got, I think it goes a long way. And that's.
I love that. This is why I just think that you are just. I actually meant it when I said that you're somebody that I just like to listen to because you just make so much sense.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's important. I believe it's important, and that's why I pass it on to those around me. And I think that's why I had so many people work for me for so long. And I'm fortunate even now that I'm operating my own business that I can go and knock on people's doors and they're not going, oh my God, he's that guy, keep the door closed and not answer the phone. And I think if it gets to that, I think it's pretty sad if it gets to a point where people, either ignore you or don't want much to do with you because, he's all right, but, he's angry and every now and again.
Yeah. Who wants to be like that? Yeah. So tell me about the name of your business. Where did that come from?
Okay, so it took on from my brother's side. So when my brother started Nyko Management first, And we did that as a consulting company. I operated Cofie Consulting along with Michael, my brother. And Naya is the name of Ted's eldest son, firstborn son. And then the part with Cofie, it was a marriage of Naya and Cofie. But in Ghana, Nyami, it means God. The Naya part, and it's pronounced Nya, that's how it started, Nyami, God. So God and Cofie would put them together, and that's where Naya was born.
That's so clever.
Yeah.
I actually like the fact that it actually has got a really deep meaning. That's what you want your business to be, right?
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, we wanted to mean something, and our parents, had a great journey, and then had to settle in a new country to bring us all up and have us and give us the tools and skills to get out and do something and belief in ourselves, and here we are. We're paying back to our parents, and so my parents, although the English was good, when they went to the UK, they spoke the natural tongue, and so all our brothers, we all speak the same language. We all speak Ghanaian, the Chi language, and although I've got no one to speak to with it now, but knowing that is your background is important, and so the business is a reflection of some of that background and that our parents put.
And that authentic.
And it's authentic. That's right.
And I imagine that's where you probably have got a lot of your resilience from as well. I mean, you obviously, we know that you've lost Claire, which was devastating, and so sorry for your loss. Okay, how are you doing today? Like, how do you pick yourself up from such a tragedy and move on?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was tough, and it was very strange because when Claire passed, after about 3 months, I said to myself, oh, wow, I didn't realize it'd take me 3 months to get over this, And then after about 6 months, I thought to myself, geez, I thought I was over after 3 months. It wasn't. It took 6 months. And then a year later, you're saying the same thing. And to be honest, you never really get over it. You're with somebody for 24 odd years, and they're the mother of your children, and the children growing up. But you have to live life, and you learn to live life, and it's a support thing. As much as I support the kids, they support me too, and we support each other. And we've always had this openness, and you have to now say life is for living, and you have to move on with life. And that's basically what we did. And the business has to continue. You still have to pay the mortgage, the bills. Things happen in life that you can't stop, and the evolution of life continues to a grandchild.
Yeah.
And that is going to continue. And so the support mechanism never really stops. And, you have great thoughts. So I went from the early days of having sad thoughts and finding it difficult to describe how your wife passed, to having happy thoughts about all the great places we went to and all the holidays we went to and all the exciting things we did and all those sort of things. It's a whole different narrative in how you explain, what your past life was like or past relationship was like.
And it's a beautiful way to be able to honour her memory as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. No, it's a great memory. And we were good friends, and we were really good friends, as I say, before we even got together.
You were pen pals.
We were pals. We were pen pals. We were good friends for a long time.
I haven't heard of anyone being pen pals for such a long time. I had a pen pal when I was in school as well. That's just like a beautiful love story.
Yeah, no, it was great.
I mean, look, I'm just going to share with you, there's quite a few people online that have all wanted to say hello, and I'm not too sure if you can see the live feed, but Deepak Rayo has said hello.
Oh, great. Hello.
Adam Moore has said hello.
A champion.
Graham Kruger.
I have a lot of time for the likes of Adam and the likes of Sam Burke. And look, there were great people around in the Sheffield that have done well. You know, Perry's and your Matt Morans, etc. But the everyday hard-working guys that in there all the time, like Adam and like Sammy, and the list goes on. They are the true value of this life, and they're the people who I call on when I'm after something. I don't call them Matt Morans, and I don't call. Yes, I know them all, but these guys are
I hear you.
And so that support mechanism, I think I've had more support from that area of the world and that part of the world than from anybody else and from anywhere else. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And yourself too, when I've been stuck somewhere, I'll give you a call first. And it's great to do that because it's genuine, you know them, and I'll pick up the phone anytime to any of you guys. And if there's help or someone needs help, that's where I am. And I think that sport makes the real chefs that have been in there and done that, plied away, and still going now, And there were no book deals, you know, there were no TV ventures, apart from Adam, he's a famous TV. But yeah, there are no book deals, no ventures, there's no telling stories. It's like, this is what we did, and we worked hard as youngsters, and we've been in the food game, and here we are, still are.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You know, doing these sessions, and I would normally have the same people that I've always engaged with, podcasts or whatever it is that I'm doing. And I thought, you know what? I actually just this time want to bring people that have made such a huge contribution to this industry to the forefront and really celebrate their achievements.
Yes.
And I think that we're doing that.
Yeah, very true.
And I mean, just to hear your story is just amazing. It just creates so much inspiration. And let me just continue to tell you who else is here to say hello. But Graham Kruger says hi. Craig Maidley.
Yes,
Brad Carson.
Yeah, yes.
Ian Tice. Anna Jane Dalton. Lachlan Botel. Looking sharp, Granddaddy said. Tony Greames, James Billingle, he just thinks the world of you. Amanda Fuller, Sammy Burke, Julio Azzarello.
His mum used to work for me at Australian Airlines. Ansett, sorry. Julio's mum.
Julia, really?
That's right, yes, yeah. She worked.
See, it's such a 6 degrees of separation. Brad Bennett said to say hello as well.
Great guy, great operation.
And Sam said the real deal, Eddie Cofie. Brad Bennett, Gary Stokes. So you've got a lot of beautiful people surrounding you.
Yeah, good guy. Gary Johnson, for example, he's another good guy I look up to. He's a good guy.
I actually had a chat with Gary. The weeks are getting away. I think it was last week. I just adore him. There's a core group of you guys that changed our industry forever. During, like I said to you, during that Olympic time, and I think it's really important. And you know, it's interesting you mentioned Serge, because so many people that I've spoken to have also mentioned him.
Yes.
Like, he's really influenced a lot of you leaders now in our industry. He's got something to be really, his legacy is really strong.
Yes. Yeah, no, he had a great operation, and he knew how to treat chefs well. And he was another guy. He wasn't a guy that was off the handle. He was very calm, and he knew what he wanted, and he set out to achieve it. And we were just there at that time. Is that era where the chefs went through the Regent and Cables, and in particular, and the place had a great standing in Australia, and not just in Sydney. And,
continues to as well. I had him sit on one of my symposiums that I did. He sat on a panel, and he's just incredible. Such an inspirational guy. But I actually can't believe it's 4 o'clock, my friend, and we've been speaking now for a full hour and 10 minutes. And I can't thank you enough for coming on and having a chat today. I know that there'll be people out there, they'll be smiling just because they've enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It's been great being on. Thank you for the invite.
And you make sure that you wet that baby's head.
I will indeed, definitely.
Lots of love to the family, and look forward to seeing you as soon as we get out of this lockdown.
Absolutely. More than welcome. Open house to you and everyone listening and watching. Always come down to Tarrant Point.
You got to be careful what you put out there. We'll all just turn up. Julio just said Ed and my mum worked together at Australian Airlines. Yes, Eddie just said that. So that's it's just amazing. Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm truly humbled that you were able to join me today and have a chat. I think you're a total inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Take care.
Bye. You as well.
Bye.